FireWalk is fired and Concord is no more. Ooh boy. Hello everybody, Megazard X here, back at it again to give y'all another interesting episode on Zard's Thoughts. And my goodness, I thought at this point, I want to be talking about Concord, at least to the level degree of what we're going to be talking about and discussing in today's video though, because I remember reporting on this event whenever we had the Concord fallout and stuff, what feels like months ago, honestly, at this point though, because obviously it didn't hit player counts. You can look back at those Steam concurrent players and stuff, and it was absolutely abysmal. They took the game off of market nearly 2 weeks after launch. It was crazy, and that was like almost unprecedented for a big AAA title. So we're thinking maybe months down the line, once a lot of this stuff has kind of flown over a lot of people's heads and stuff, we were all thinking there's no way that Sony was going to sit back and waste that much money. Who knows how many hundreds of millions of dollars they truly spent up on this game. That, remind y'all, they sent out refunds to everybody though, so it's a complete 100% loss. There's really nothing to really recoup on this mess though. And we were thinking at some point they were going to come back with a free-to-play model, but that has been completely scrapped. So recently we managed to get an internal email from the CEO, Herman Hulst himself, and this is honestly what all he had to say though. So he said, "Dear team, today I want to share some important updates from Sony Interactive Entertainment Studios Business Group. We consistently evaluate our games portfolio and status of our projects to ensure we are meeting near and long-term business priorities. As part of our ongoing efforts to strengthen SIE's studio business, we had to make the difficult decision relating to two of our studios, Neon Koi and FireWalk Studios." Now, Neon Koi, for those that don't know, they're more so associated with mobile gaming and stuff like that though, but obviously the big heavy talk of the town has been FireWalk Studios. I'll skip over there to that point where he starts addressing that part. So regarding FireWalk, as announced in earlier September, certain aspects of Concord were exceptional, but others did not land with enough players, and as a result, we took the game offline. We have spent considerable time these past few months exploring all of our options. After much thought, we have determined the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. I want to thank all of FireWalk for their craftsmanship, creative spirit, and dedication. The PvP first-person shooter genre is a competitive space that's continuously evolving, and unfortunately, we did not hit our targets with this title. We will take the lessons learned from Concord and continue to advance our live service capabilities to deliver future growth in this area though. And then the rest of it is kind of general closeout stuff, wishing the best regards to all of those that are, being disbanded from FireWalk Studios. Point blank, period, close the case though. So, oh my goodness. Man, I honestly thought that next time I'll be reporting on this, we're really gonna get a free-to-play version though. But for them at Sony and Herman Hulst to say, hey look, we're gonna look down at FireWalk Studios and be like, all right, what's the problem? What's the thing that really caused all these issues and stuff and caused us to lose millions of dollars on this project though? And they're like, you know what? It could be this oven that was cooking all these cookies that we're trying to give out to all these customers, right? It could be the oven, or it could be the formula itself. You know what? It got to be the oven. You know what? Scrape it, drag that sucker out, beat it to a pulp though. We're gonna get a new oven up in here at some given point though, but this oven got to go. I mean, that's literally how they treated FireWalk Studios up in this situation though. Now, remind y'all with Herman Hulst, he was the one allegedly that was really pushing this point that saying, hey, we need to have FireWalk Studios become part of PlayStation Studios. We need to have Concord as part of Sony's IPs and stuff, because this could easily be like maybe the next new Star Wars or something like that. When he was looking at this years ago, it's about almost 8 years ago, he was looking at this game and was like, you know what, this could be the future, something that could make a lot of money for PlayStation. So he pushed it hard to Sony and all the other higher ups and stuff, and hence after that, Sony went out, they bought them, and FireWalk has been known to be making this game for quite some time though. And honestly, at this point, you can kind of look back at it. I know hindsight is 2020 though, but looking back at this whole entire story, in a nutcase, Sony was caught chasing trends. That's something that you just don't want to do in the gaming industry though, because at the time, this was roughly around when obviously you might have had other games out there such as Overwatch, which were kind of leading, this genre in terms of the PvP hero shooter stuff like that. if this game would have came out a whole lot sooner, I think the effect that Concord would have had would have been drastically different. But by the time that this game came out, you're saying what? You're going to charge players like, X amount of dollars, 40, 50, whatever though, and want to charge them that amount of money when you have other free-to-play options out there that you can go out and play right now that offer a whole lot more, and it's free to get up into. The competition is pretty stacked, and Sony was just caught chasing trends, and lo and behold, by the time this game came out to market though, there wasn't really much of an audience for it though. And I just hate the fact that at some point when you lose this much money and it's a complete and utter failure, especially from a AAA standpoint, like this is probably the biggest thing that's happened on the block since like that ET game where they threw up a whole bunch of different copies over there in one of those landfills over there in the West. Like, with you losing out this much, somebody has to own up to it though. Obviously you gotta appease some shareholders and stuff like that though. The blame gotta fall to some person, and I hate it when it falls on the game developers themselves. Like, any given point or any given moment throughout this whole entire process and then making this game, you had to have beta testers, you had to have higher executive people looking at this game, going in there, getting status updates, checking to see if the game's hitting internal marks and stuff like that. Like, they had a lot of different possibilities and a lot of different opportunities to be able to point out, raise a hand, something, shoot something up to the sky or whatever, and say, hey, we need help, we need to address this, or things aren't going this well, or I don't know if this is actually going to be a smart decision. Like, I don't know if they were surrounded by a bunch of yes men or something like that, or the potential money was kind of glazing over their eyes or anything like that though. But literally anybody else outside of this industry could have looked at that. And I remember thinking back to those original trailers and stuff when they were trying to advertise this game as poorly as they did it even back then. The marketing for this game has been abysmal at best as well though. Nobody knew what this game was originally, nor was anybody really hyped for it or anything like that though. So I mean, there's just a lot of different factors coming into play, or some of the reasons why this game happened to flop. But I don't think you should shut down the whole entire studio because of one game completely flopping and making the rounds and stuff within the gaming industry though. If anything, I think Herman Holt should be held liable, because if he wasn't the one that was going to push this game so far to the point where Sony had to acquire them, I mean, they might have took this game a whole different way. The ambition or the scale of it might have been shrink down or reduced or something like that. They might have found some minor success, or they might have pivoted or did something else with it before Sony having to get their hands on it really started to push hard on it though. The outcome could have been drastically different had Sony not managed to put their hands up on there though. And if they happened to fall upon their own sword, that would have been them and it wouldn't have been Sony though. But man, Sony, y'all being made looking like a fool at this point though. Like, I don't know how else to disguise it or whatever though. Like, y'all shouldn't have been caught chasing trends. I don't know how many times we got to say this in this industry though. And the fact that you aren't going to give FireWalk Studios another shot or another chance to be able to say, hey, this game didn't do that well, maybe we'll just change up the leadership a little bit more and have y'all focus and put a lot of y'all's hard-earned efforts and works up in this into some other brand new IP, make y'all a support studio, anything. I feel like there is going to be quite a bit of talent that's up in there. It's just with the direction of it though, because it's like you can have the strongest army in the world or something like that, but if you don't have the direction to lead those troops to what they need to do and accomplish certain missions and tasks, then you can spread them out and they can, fan out like a bunch of ants and they're not really powerful anymore though. That's just how I kind of view FireWalk. So I was like, man, I feel like Herman Holt should have took a lot more of this heat versus just saying, hey, this is just a one and done game and we're just going to go ahead and just abandon this. I fully expected them to just to walk away from the Concord branding. Like, at this point, anybody hears or sees that name anywhere, they're going to associate it with a massive failure. I fully understand that. But I just don't believe you should have gone and shut down the studio like that, though. I don't know. I can feel like I can ramble longer and harder upon this thing. This was breaking news that literally happened out yesterday, though. But we just had to go ahead and talk about this thing now. I'll probably bring it up in the podcast this upcoming Sunday as well, though. But like, this was such hot news and something I just completely didn't expect them to do with shutting down that studio, to where I just had to go ahead and just throw my thoughts out there right now and let y'all out there sit and marinate on these thoughts though, because I know everybody probably feels some kind of way with this thing in the direction like how could Sony be moving forward though. Like they even set up in this little statement with this internal email from Herman Hulsey. It's like, hey, we'll take some lessons from this and apply it to any future live service games. I was like, have you really learned the lesson at this point, though? It doesn't really feel like you're in a hot seat. I'm just saying, though, obviously it's hard to judge the man right now because we don't know what's going to happen next, though. But who's to say that they don't shut down another studio if it doesn't happen to hit any internal marks or something like that? Obviously, Team Asobi did good with Astrobot and stuff recently, though, and that's like, and then obviously you had the breakout hit with Helldivers and stuff that was completely unprecedented at the time, though, but who's to say another major IP comes out on the block and then it just flops and it's like, all right, now we're going to close you down. Like, I know a lot of those internal Sony employees are probably going to feel some kind of way looking and reading at this email, though. I don't know. I can keep going on and on about this thing, though, but I might as well go ahead and wrap it up here. So, just let me know down in the comment section down below, how did this make you feel in terms of Sony's decision making, their leadership and stuff? Like, who should be owning up to this mess, though? Let me know about that down in the comment section down below, because I'm very curious to hear about your thoughts, though. But that's going to basically do it in terms of this video, though. So if you really like this, make sure you're going to hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember, y'all, until our video I make next, see y'all.